Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 363. We're here reviewing episodes 32 to 34 of Magiranger. And with these episodes, I am officially on break from Magiranger. Yep, at this point, well, it's a good place. It's a good place to take a break because it's like not exactly half of this series, but I figured though it's a conclusion second story, I probably can use a break after watching 34 straight episodes. So in these three episodes, the first portion is Mammy enacting a plan to use Mahou to affect the city, and Warza takes back his magic, and I think I know the reason why they did this because he's actually going to play a role in this three-parter. Yep, yes he is. He's playing a role. So he takes the Warza phones and turns back to his own magic because his role is to, bring the Magiranger to Magic Hope, Investia, to give the legendary power to Nama. Yeah. Well, before that, Veronica proceeds to infect people, and somehow Makiko gets infected. So the way that, and somehow Warza gets hands in the damn thing. So they have the four of them battle him, and eventually the thing is destroyed. And Makito is healed, and eventually they beat. And then of course at least they're like, as soon as that creature's defeated, like, okay, so the very next thing is basically them unleashing the final ever monster for the entire series. You're thinking, really? 11 or 30 episodes in, and this is when they stop using monsters? Yes, there's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a bit. So, Mammy proceeds to lure Haruku and Rin to this desert world, which it's apparently the graveyard of the Hades Beast. I think you have the Hades Beast, so let's merge several of them into one, and this is a chimera. So, and presumably, Magi Shine and Rin are presumably killed, but they actually would be alive thanks to Smokey turned the hairballs. Yep. So then, of course, thanks to a spell cast by Warzor, he proceeds to bring the five Rangers to Infestia, mainly the main chamber. Yes, which is this is something, because normally when Rangers go someplace like this, usually they force their way in. They're not dragged there by the villains, or at least forcibly invite them. Usually they're the ones breaking in toward the very end of the series. Not a little over halfway through. I thought that was very interesting. As far as I can tell, they never did this before that I could think of, where they, in the case of a Super Sentai series, usually it's toward the very end where they go to the base. Not around episode 30. Now, the only type of series I've seen this in is, believe it or not, Matelder, though that was due to the fact a little girl went into the ghost bank, and he just happened to find a doorway to get in there to get her back, and eventually found another doorway thanks to, the guy who is basically the main villain, his office complex, to go to this top elevator and go right down the ghost bank. That's the only thing I could think of that's similar to this. Yep. So, then it's revealed that, they also have a flashback of, their father. First time we actually see the actor playing him. Now, we don't know, all we know his name is Bagel, and he is basically their father. We've seen his Holy Saint form, never seen his human form. So, then of course, basically, then we see Warzor being tormented. He sees a sky, something is coming to him. Eventually, in the very next episode, this is starting in episode 32 and then 33, while they're about to have the power drained, and eventually Kai breaks free and just transforms without using his own phone to Magi Red. And then Warzor remembers, oh crap, that's actually his son. Yeah, Warzor is revealed to be Blagel, their father. Yeah. He's been alive the whole time. And, like, yeah. And eventually he's dragged away by Veronica, who proceeds to, like, wrap herself around him in a very sexual way. I thought that was kind of weird. Now, Veronica, you do know this man is married. Yes. So he becomes Warzor again, and then eventually, of course, everybody knows. Of course, now the thing is, Kai has no memories of him at all. Just him fighting him as Warzor because he was very young. Because Kai is 17 when Blago went down to fight Nama. He was 2 years old, so he has no memory of his father at all. And eventually, thanks to Kai, well, basically just tackling him and eventually crying on him, he's able to use a special magic to help be a spell to free him. It's explained of exactly why in the world he was Warzor. So he wasn't exactly powerful enough to seal Nama, so he used a reincarnation spell to brainwash and become Warzor, basically be loyal to him and just, well, erase his memories. Eventually he got his memories back, and he's very happy to see all his children grow big and strong. And of course, with him being freed, like, so they all give him a hug, and then Nama comes to the surface. By the way, the Chimera is destroyed by returning Fire Kaiser. You know, from the movie. Yep. I mean, it had not been very long. I mean, happy to see this thing again. Yeah. Yeah, and get this. Well, Magishine and Rin get out of the portal via, basically, Blago's horse. Somehow they're able to find it, and they ride it back. And he merges with the damn thing, and of course beats the Chimera that way. And I think that might have been the last appearance of this particular form. Of course, he was in a rage. Then, of course, then they have where Mami and, well, Haruku basically have themselves a duel bond. Basically a magical duel. It's basically like a chain match where I think about chains, and Mami's like, oh, I'm basically immune from magic. I'm not holding this anymore, even though he kind of still is. So he's at one point he's actually cheating because he used Smokey to cheat, but Haruku beats him. Very simple. And then just before the man dies, he reveals that infectious gods are coming. That is set up for the final story arc of the series. And Blago proceeds, and meanwhile, Blago proceeds to drag down Nama and seal him and destroying the audience chamber. You know, the same room has been there since episode 1 of the series. Bellfire Veronica is going to survive this, but the zombies themselves, they all die. Yes, they seriously all die. None of them survive this, from what I can tell. The ones in the room anyways. But that is pretty much the end of the second story arc of the series. Now, let me know my final thoughts on Mami. For one thing, I found it to be a lot more interesting a villain than the first one. Yeah, he was just a grumbling guy who, it's like, yeah, he's like grouchy and he's like just poking his sword against everything fails. Mami is not like that. He sees like of course he's witnessing everything, and he's not stupid. I'm glad the fact he's never be stupid. And he's written to be a bit of a pompous because Knight and Mayor thought they would want to take over the infection, but nope, he is. For some reason, he's declared now, this is something I never really understood about this portion of the series, where a former holy saint who turned traitor, and he's named next general because he's brought there by Annika. I think I'm doing my best to pronounce the name for this woman. Yeah. But He was more interesting. His plans basically made total sense. He wasn't obsessed like oh, let's find the gate key. He actually had plans. Lots of plans. They feel like monsters of the week, and the fact his monsters under him basically a lot more smarter. And the fact they had a lot more personality to them than the first ones. Yeah, the first ones basically were lame. Where they they had no personality, just grunts. Just grunts as monsters. The other ones basically have a lot more interesting. Especially when it was actually Vertigo's ex-boyfriend. Yes, who it's force embrace, and it forces her to split into two selves. And he's like, oh, let's go on a date. And I'm like, Veronica, you do realize that the man tried to sexually assault you. Yes. What happened to him was perfectly earned because he tried to sexually assault his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, more like sexual harassment. That's basically what he did here. And since they're villains, I guess Nama probably does not give a damn about that at all. Nope, he does not care. Not in the slightest. Yep. But not much else to say about these 3 episodes. They're really good, and I gotta admit, the second story was actually very fun. I had a lot more fun with the second story of the series than I did the first one. Well, mainly because Magiranger. Because how pure awesomeness he is. Because he's just a light, they call him like a shining light, because, well, he is. I think in a way, him being introduced in the series, probably, because normally 6 Rangers are, well, from what I can tell anyways, from all the ones I've watched that came out in this decade, if you look from Time Ranger to, I think, Ghost Ranger, because I think that's one that kind of ended this decade, a lot of the 6 Rangers are written to be dicks. He is one of 3 who is not written to be a complete dick when he first shows up. There to being Shurikenger, the Green Ranger from Hurricaneger, and Shuriken Gold. Yes, he's not ready to be a jerk. He actually seriously wants to be a samurai, and he just wants to help. He's not there to take over the team. He does not see the team as being beneath him. Magiranger, despite being more experienced, he does not see himself where he's above the team. And I do appreciate a writing of a character like that. And he's not forced into this. He basically was already a ranger anyways. Excuse me. As for how old he is, they don't really say how old he is. He looks presumably in his 20s, I'd say. Though I have heard the actor who played him has since retired. In 2008. Yeah. Though he does occasionally reprise the character. Probably because he's actually really good at it. This is something, though, a guy who basically played a teacher in a movie special became an actual teacher, a math teacher. And one of his students is basically Kamen Rider Drive. Yep. Yeah, but not much to say about these episodes. The first arc was interesting at best. It's a good introduction to the series. My only slight problem with the arc is the villain. The general was boring at best. This arc felt like an improvement. It had a lot of good story with it, a lot of development. And the one thing this arc has some in common with the finale for the first arc is that we set up the very next villain. Which, I do appreciate that. And, well, they're probably going to show up next episode. These villains are quite interesting, especially since one of them does return after events of the series. I'll discuss that when I come back to it. So, now I'm on break. Coming on break. What am I going to do? I was planning on doing this originally when I was on my last break, but I had, there was no way to look at exactly how should I put this? Of where in the world this thing starts and stops. It's I do have the thing up on my phone here. As a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my praise skill to raise in the world. Use my praise to raise in the world. Yes, I'll be watching this one. There currently is no stuff for this one, but I'm going to watch it anyways. What am I going to watch? Don't know yet. I'll decide when I get to that point, okay? To the next video tomorrow. Bye.